Is there a max how far they could go in distance? Like, could they go 15 miles away if, there was no comps close by, or does it have to be like within a 5 mile,
Well, I'll ask a couple more questions.
And maybe North Carolina is different than Tampa, right?
We were talking about like Ocala a minute ago. I was looking at a house that was on 2,900 acres the other day.
Woo! That's like half of Ocala.
Yeah, seriously.
That's a lot of acres.
Yeah.
Well, that would be
Like it had a whole ski lake just for the property.
that would be a totally different type of appraisal.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a traditional residential appraisal.
Right.
That would be very, very specific.
Yeah.
And there would be surveys
Had
and
like
all kinds of
hunting
things added.
blinds and 18
Yeah, for
trails
sure.
and like a 12,000 square foot
Right,
European
right.
house.
Yeah, no,
on
that
it.
would be
Like,
totally different type of
crazy.
appraisal. But to your question, how far can I go? Depends on where you are. So we're here today in Tampa, and if you went 5 miles south of here, you'd be in what, Ruskin? I don't know how far.
Yeah, right.
Maybe something like that.
Riverview Rescue.
Yeah, you'd go pretty far, and you'd pass a lot of homes, a lot of homes between here and there.
Exactly.
Now, if you go to Ocala, in certain parts of Ocala, for example, you could go 5 miles and pass 2 houses.
Really
So
based on density.
It's density, exactly right. And so because of that, lenders will often say, "Oh, well, there's a 1 mile, you can't go outside of 1 mile." Well, that's a general rule of typical suburban areas because there
Yeah.
should be enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of a word of mouth rule, but it's not really a rule because it depends on where you are.
Yeah,
It
makes
absolutely
sense.
depends on where you are.
Makes sense.
If you have to pass 30 homes to get to a comp that matches the subject property, what's going on there? Why are we skipping over all these others? Are you trying to find a value in a certain... Now, if it's a 8,000 square foot house
And a
in
1,000.
South St. Pete,
Right.
and there's nothing close to that until you get to Clearwater, well, maybe now you have to think about that. You have to look at that a little bit
Oh,
differently.
could be considered.
It could be considered. It's a lot of factors there, but definitely if you're passing over things to get to something,
Right.
that's going to raise red flags because people are going to say, well, why are you missing these other things that are in between?
Right.
So you mentioned that property we were talking about earlier was be like a different kind of appraisal. Some
yeah.
people are buying 1,000-acre estates, some people are buying townhouses in South Tampa, some people are buying trailers. Are there different types of appraisals, and like how does a seller know like what kind of appraisal they need for their property?
So a couple things, yes, there absolutely are different reports.